Will Kayatin, the Kentucky Valley Educational Cooperative, and we are live here in KVEC's professional broadcasting studio, The Holler, and it's a privilege to be joined by my distinguished colleague and friend, Mr. Danny Vance. And Danny has a very rich background. Most recently, he was the principal of the Area Technology Center for Knott County Schools. And we have had a chance, particularly this spring, and as we move into the summer, working through the production of work-based learning experience video vignettes. So we have actually, over the past number of weeks, created a stacked suite of videos in the career and technical fields. And of course, Danny provided a lot of advice and expertise as we reached out to area businesses, and we look forward to continuing to add more and more of these videos to share with students as we visit schools. Concurrently, we also thought it would be a great idea, given the technology that we possess here at KVEC, to add in a job simulation piece. So I'm going to pause for a moment so that Danny can talk a little bit about why we're doing this. Obviously, it's a part of the transition work for my work over the past 3 years, now moving into the 4th year. But Danny, let's talk a little bit about our area technology centers in the region, the opportunities students have, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I think the beauty of the, we call them ATCs, short for Area Technology Centers, but I think the beauty of the ATCs kind of goes along with this project that you've got going right now. It lets students get their hands on stuff. It lets them get familiar with what this job would be in the real world. You know, our shops, I call them shops, we have classrooms also, like the nursing or business, we'll just have a classroom setting. But those students get to actually sit down as part of their school day and perform the duties that might be asked of them on the real job out in the real world. So I think giving the students exposure to that at the age of the high school years is a great opportunity for those kids. And I think that any kid that misses out on that opportunity is missing something. All kids, I think, should be exposed to that. And not only do they get an idea of what they may want to do in their future, they might also learn what they don't want to do. So what better time to learn that than the high school years?
Exactly, when there's not as much at stake.
So this video thing you've got going on is another aspect of it. You know, in the shops, you know, in automotive, they may sit down with a car and actually change a tire, change brakes or whatever on an actual car. But you've also, or we are actually also working on this design where they can actually virtually do these things and learn more about the steps that are involved before they actually get their hands on it.
We're trying to take this to another level.
Right.
Number one, it's a real challenge financially and logistically to put students on buses and take them to places of business. We work with probably over 1,200 students in 15 school districts, 25 high schools. So to create opportunities for all these students, what better way to do that than virtually?
Right.
And the other part of the challenge is, even if we were able to take students to places of businesses, in many instances, a lot of businesses can't accommodate groups of students. They may be able to host a group of 5 or 10, but perhaps no more than that. So it decreases opportunities for students to be exposed to the career and technical fields. Now, I will say that the pandemic, the COVID-19 period that we're still in, has hastened the work, but this is something that we had talked about and thought about doing many, many months ago, moving back into last fall. And we had had a lot of conversations about what might work, what were some places of business here in the region that might be suitable to capture on a video. And then with the Oculus wireless Vive headset technology that we have, that we've used in schools, and you've done a lot of fun stuff with that, and I'm talking to teachers and students who are going to see this PR video. Part 2 of the in-school workshop is to look at different videos of workplaces, then put on the Oculus wireless headset and actually engage in a short 5-minute job simulation. So, that being said, I'm going to shift back to you because you provided a lot of advice and expertise as we worked with our engineers here in the Holler studio to write the code to create these virtual job simulation experiences. It's as if you were actually in the shop doing the work.
Right.
So talk a little bit about the 5 different, and you may not remember them all off the top of your head, but talk a little bit about the conversations that we had in advising the engineers about the technical aspects of the HVAC work or the auto mechanic work, more germane to your expertise, electricity.
Right. Well, you know, some kids are afraid of number one, they're afraid of electricity. They're afraid, oh, I'm going to get shocked. So I think what we're doing here is a great way to introduce them to the concept of hooking a wire to a light switch and then run that wire to the light and watch the light come on. You know, it's a great way to introduce them to the field. Same with the mechanics. You know, they may be afraid, well, I'm afraid I'm going to tear something up. I'll break something. So if they get an opportunity to do that in a virtual world and expose them to that concept prior to the hands-on, I think it's a great opportunity. And, you know, some kids learn differently. They may learn better by doing this virtual approach as the basics, the fundamentals of getting started with this. And then a teacher could take them on to the next level and teach basics and then do the hands-on. So a student may learn better with this approach than what we've done in the past, and we hope that they can benefit from that.
Indeed. And again, I want to remind you that as we move forward into this year and the upcoming years, we will continue to add new workplaces and new job simulations to complement the video that students enjoy. So I'm hopeful by the end of the year. Right now we have about 7. We have 7 work-based learning experience video vignettes, and we have 5 job simulations. Very complex, very sophisticated to create those job simulations because code has to be written to make this happen. So I applaud our engineers here at KVAC in the Holler Professional Production Studio. Amazing. And they enjoyed the process, and that will help us moving forward as we add pieces to this. And so I'm excited just to summarize what you can hope to experience as we move into the school year. We don't know what it's going to look like yet. And even if we're limited as to the amount of time we can spend hosting in-school workshops in your schools this upcoming fall, particularly as we move through the COVID period, your students are still going to be able to enjoy the videos because we will push those out to you. Once we're allowed to work in schools, and again, my work per the state and the feds, they have asked us to work with smaller groups. So we're not going to have the big groups that you've been accustomed to over the past few years. They have asked me to work with groups of 5, no more than 15 students at a time. So that is going to allow perhaps more access even during this blended instructional school schedule that it looks like we're going to experience moving forward. So we'll come, host our in-school workshop just like we always have. We'll watch some videos. We'll pick what we want to focus on. We'll allow students to take turns putting on the Oculus wireless headset and engage in a short job simulation. I think it's going to be a blast. And thank you, Danny, for your advice and expertise because you were able to provide the technical coaching to help the engineers write the proper code to create a very accurate job simulation of electricity, carpentry, auto mechanics, HVAC, and I'm sure I'm missing one or two, but we've got a bunch of them, and we look forward to adding more.
Right. Well, I just appreciate the fact that KVEC has stepped out and taken on this endeavor, and with your help and with the Holler Boys, with the technology they have, this is something. Times are changing, and I think KVEC is leading the way here with this, and hopefully this will help a lot of kids in this time of uncertainty, and give them a little head start toward whatever we got to come.
And I think they're going to enjoy it. It's very intuitive for this generation.
They enjoy this.
I would be remiss if I didn't give a special shout out to my colleagues in the Division of Special Education here at KVEC, because they provided a lot of resources and advice as we move through this project, and will continue to do so as we move forward. Now, I'm going to pause before we adjourn. Please talk a little bit more specifically about your role here at KVEC, the Tiny House Project. Students need to be aware that that may be an opportunity for them moving forward.
Right. Well, with this tiny house thing, we've built, I think, 18 tiny houses over the last 4 years, and I've been involved with education 29 years, and there's never been a project like the Tiny House Project. It involves every aspect of the construction of a home on a small scale. So to me, it's the best opportunity that you could possibly get for kids in the high school level to be able to take a home from the bottom to the top in one school year. Now, the shutdown of the COVID this past year held those up, so we have 5 of those still in process of being built, and hopefully we can get back in school and get those finished this year. But these little video tutorials that we're doing now, all those are steps that could lead to the total tiny house. You
Absolutely.
could break each one of those down to a tiny step. So those students are getting a real good opportunity, and we're proud of what students are doing. We just sold the last home, and it'll go to California. So these students are actually building homes that have gone to California. We sent one to Arizona in June, and this one's going to California in August, and they've been to Maryland, Virginia, so they're all over. The students' work is just fantastic, and people are really realizing what we're doing here in Eastern Kentucky with this tiny house project.
Well said, and that's a good place for us to adjourn. And as customary here at KVEC, we will holler at you later.
Holler at you later.
All right, bye-bye.